Toyota has refreshed the Camry for the 2025 model year, and my first impressions was, is this a brand new Camry or just a substantial facelift? Either way, it's clearly still recognizable, even though this and the new Signia received the headlights of the Ferrari Purosangue. It looks like there is no more black roof Camrys in this lineup, which is okay by me since all black roof Camrys seem to put the driver under a spell to drive like they've just stolen the vehicle off the dealer lot. Let's get to know the new Camry a little better and check out what's new in its design compared to the old one from a front, side, rear view, and last but not least, the completely different interior. The 2025 Toyota Camry goes hybrid only. All-wheel drive is available on every single trim level, and you have a revamped cabin that borrows much of its new looks from the Crown sedan. And here you can see in silver, it looks pretty chiseled in the front end. More on that when we jump into Photoshop and have a look at the design from front, side, rear compared to the old one. So this later iteration of Toyota's hybrid system combines a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder gas engine. And you can have it with either two, or you can put 3 electric motors in your Camry. So you have the front-wheel drive only has 2 electric motors in the front end. If you want to have all-wheel drive, they throw in a third motor in the rear axle for better traction. The front-wheel drive hybrid will make 225 horsepower, and the all-wheel drive not that much more. It's only 7 horsepower more, which is weird because you have an additional electric motor, but that bumps it up to 232 horsepower. And you have a CVT gearbox standard on both setups. So no more V6 in this 2025 Camry. There's something to be said about sticking to what works when it comes to this design. I mean, looking at it from this angle, it pretty much looks like the current Camry that we have, with some new styling for the rear bumper and also the rear headlight taillights. You have new headlights, pick up the same running light style we've seen on the Prius, and you have the new rear end taillights look fresh but also very, very familiar. It comes standard on the interior with wireless phone charging and 5 USB ports to charge all your devices. You have an 8-inch infotainment touchscreen and an 8-inch gauge cluster as standard. However, you can upgrade both of these to 12.3 inches for both the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen. And have a look at this right here. Compare this interior to the current one. It's going to be interesting to talk about that in just a second. The LE and the XLE reside on the cushier side, meaning that those are more the comfortable oriented trims. And then you have the SE and the XSE, which are the sportier trims, carrying their own unique suspension tuning in addition to black trim and different wheel designs. I wonder if it actually has the black roof for the new for the new XE. We shall see. The 2025 Toyota Camry will make its way to the general public in 2024. There's no real updates on pricing, but the current one goes for about $30,000 to $35,000. You can expect it to be bumped a little higher than that since we have new technology in this car. So let's jump in here to Photoshop. Let's see what's going on with this new 2025 Camry. The old, or the, I don't know if I should say the old one or the current one, but the one we have on sale right now is up here. And this is the black roof. Something magical happens when you have this black roof. Everybody just drives this like crazy. Whenever you see a black roof Camry, just get out of the way because you never know what they're gonna do. You also have the black wheels looking pretty nice. I do like that we have the black roof, the black mirrors, and also the black wheels in this case. Kind of comes together nicely. However, this front end of the current one, it looked almost like a bug when you look at this because everything is pointing, as you can see, everything's pointing to the middle. So I don't know, it just has this bug-like look to it. I'm not sure why that is, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad-looking design. It's just very Toyota-ish, this design. But for some reason, everything comes together nicely at the end product. Now, looking at the new one, you can clearly see just how much they reduced of the styling in the front end and definitely took a lot of inspiration from the Toyota Prius. This is probably, I mean, it is going to be Toyota's new design language to have this type of styling. Very Purosangue-esque, like in the, for example, this intake that we have down here, and also how this body piece in the front end cuts into the headlight like this with the body colored panel right there. We do have a very chiseled looking hood. It looks really nice, this new Camry. However, this angle right here is still intact, so it goes upwards. What I want to do is have it go just straight into this line and not have this upward swing. We also had that more pronounced in the current Camry, as you can see right here. Same angle here comes back in the new one as well, but it is way less over stylized in my opinion. We have a big grille in the front end, sort of Lexus-like, with this pattern coming in from the sides and then going into only horizontal lines in the center of this grille. It looks pretty nice. It is a big grille. It's a very small grille where we traditionally would see the grille up here, and instead they moved the big grille downstairs to the bottom of the car. Looking at it from a rear view, and here is a very conservative update for the Camry. This is what the reason why I thought this maybe is a facelift, or is it a brand new model? What's going on here? But then when you look at the interior, you can clearly see that this is absolutely a brand new model. So the previous one, or the current one, still with the black roof, the XSE in this case, the V6. When you do styling like this though, like you have angles going everywhere and cutting into the main key lines of the body, what this does, it creates a very sort of a less structured design, and it makes the design overall feel kind of weak, and it doesn't have enough structure to it because all the main key lines are broken by other lines. But this again is very Toyota when it comes to styling. So looking at the new one here, we have a proper shelf up top. Have a look at this trunk shelf that we have going here. I think this is a beautiful little touch. We also have this very weird and interesting line cutting in through the C-pillar, just having a clear, sharp cut into the corner. Again, this is just Toyota styling. They just add cut lines everywhere, all over the car. We still have a pretty strong shoulder line down here, and we also have this line intact in the side like we had in the previous one, cutting into the rear bumper. So I think these panels might actually be the exact same panels and doors that we have on the current generation of the Camry. And I'm not sure if this is maybe a hint that Toyota might not be considering or putting a lot of effort into designing new sedans. I think that might be it, and that is a shame because a lot of manufacturers nowadays are just ditching sedans in favor of crossovers and SUVs. Maybe that's the reason why they saved some money and took just the same doors that we have in the previous generation in the new one as well. But the taillights are completely brand new. Even the housing for it, the outline for it is new. We also have a brand new rear bumper. A little less stylized, I would say, in the lower section right here. We don't have the exhaust pipes. And in the previous one, you have two twin pipes on one side, but you still have the housing for it on the other side. And I can't stand when car companies does this because it looks like it just lost two exhaust pipes. But I do believe I've seen Camrys with the quad exhaust pipes like this. I'm not sure if that's a trim level or maybe some aftermarket thing going on. Overall, a pretty clean rear end. They definitely cleaned up both the front and the rear. Now looking at the interior, and this is of course the major changes here. In the current one, we do have a clean housing for the gauge cluster. You can see that the gauge clusters itself, you have an analog tachometer here, and this looks to be some sort of hybrid setup with the eco on this side. Not sure if this is also the rev counter, but this looks, again, the over-styling that comes in from the exterior then definitely continues here in the interior design with all these lines. It makes me dizzy just looking at all the lines that we have here. And this is a typical Toyota infotainment screen that feels, if you've ever felt these, they feel kind of cheap with these buttons on the side and also the scroll wheels. But we also have the controls for the climate control being physical in this case. And a start button right here, nice looking steering wheel, two cup holders. This is definitely the biggest improvement in my opinion over the current generation Camry, because this looks super clean. The headache is gone when I look at these lines. This actually looks very classy. I do like this pattern that we have on this. I think this is probably some sort of fabric. We have a brand new modernized steering wheel, as you can see as well, looking very chiseled and modern in its approach. We have the 12.3-inch gauge cluster, 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and have a look at this down here. We still have the climate control settings intact, being physical. So it feels like the cheaper the car, the more likely it is that they keep the physical buttons for the climate control settings. That means that I'm probably going to buy only cheap cars from now on, because that's exactly what I want. We also have some pattern here coming back from the exterior grille, so it reminds me of this section down here. Now coming back a little bit in the interior design. Overall, a very clean looking interior. Not sure about this CVT gearbox. It's probably fine. I'm not sure if you can shift it manually, if they have paddles back here or something like that. But overall, a very conservative and very carefully updated Camry from Toyota for the 2025 model year. And it follows the same trend as a lot of other car companies right now, is to just remove all the unnecessary, or a lot of unnecessary lines, and just focus on key graphic features. That is exactly what is going on with Toyota. Just look at the front end of the Prius, the new Camry, of course, and the Signia as well. They all have, on the crown as well, they all have this very clear new design language from Toyota, specifically in the front and the graphics.